So namaskar all of you. Welcome to the discussion on the open mock test. I hope all of you have tried the mock test. The top 20 students rank and marks, already it is there in the telegram channel. You can see that. Now let us come to the discussion of that test. So the test was on modern India and all the questions were basically on Gandhiji. Okay, so let us have a quick analysis of the questions and the answers. This was basically SSC or state civil service prelims exam level test. Okay, let us start with the discussion. If you want the PDF is there in your telegram channel. You can also download the PDF. Okay, so let us start. First question was, the Ahmedabad Satyagraha of Gandhiji was directed against which of the following? The British mill owners and government officials, the Indian mill owners and non-government officials, the British non-government officials, or Indian government officials. So you know that it was basically the strike was on increasing the wages of the workers. The workers were demanding a steep increase in their wages, and the Indian owners were not ready to give that much. So Gandhiji intervened and he found a middle path. Okay, let us see the answer and the details. So basically it was the Indian mill owners, and not the government as such, not the British government. A dispute between the textile mill owners, who are Indians basically, and the laborers at Ahmedabad rose in 1918 about the grant of bonus and dearness allowance. The laborers wanted 50% increase allowance due to steep rise in prices. The mill owners were ready to give only 20% increase. Gandhiji was approached to find a solution. He persuaded both the parties to agree to arbitration. You know what is arbitration? Okay, in polity you will read something called alternate dispute resolution. Alternate dispute resolution. Arbitration is one of those. If you want to relate it with, for example, our Krishna Ganga dispute with Pakistan, and many other international disputes are solved through arbitration. Recently, India lost a international arbitration case against Vodafone. Related to the taxation issue, retrospective taxation. But after a few days, some misunderstanding led to a strike. The mill owners seized the opportunity and declared lockout. Gandhiji studied the case. He thought that 35% increase. So you see how he has balanced. So the demand was 50%, and from the workers, owners were ready for 20%. Gandhiji said, take a middle path, 35% would be reasonable. He advised the laborers to demand the same. Strike began on 26 February 1918. This campaign attracted less publicity. Why? Because British were all that, they were not interested. Because it was not against the British, it was against the Indian owners of a mill. Because it was directed against Indian employees, not government officials. During this period, the mill owners were led by Shri Ambalal Sarabhai. His sister Ansuya Ben led the laborers. So go through the explanation in detail. That is more important. From the explanation, you can get more questions. Question 2. Mahatma Gandhi owed his inspiration for civil disobedience and non-payment of taxes to whom of the following thinkers? Thoreau, Leo Tolstoy, John Ruskin, or Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So most of you would be knowing this. So let us see how he influenced Gandhiji. It was from Thoreau's essay Civil Disobedience that Gandhi borrowed the phrase widely used to describe his program. Thoreau himself was influenced by the writings of the forest wise men of India who wrote the Upanishads. These ancient Hindu writings were translated into English in early 1800s. Thoreau read and pondered them in the Howard College Library. Thus, this political technique of boycott and non-violent protest had already crossed and recrossed the ocean to strengthen hearts and to influence minds in South Asia, South Africa, in Alabama, USA. Okay. So, Thoreau also, derived it, or he got the inspiration from the Indian texts. Okay. Who among the following visited Gandhiji in South Africa? Okay. That is Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So, Gokhale was famously a mentor to Mahatma Gandhi in his formative years. In 1912, Gokhale visited South Africa at Gandhiji's invitation. As a young barrister, Gandhiji returned from his struggles against the empire in South Africa and received personal guidance from Gokhale, including a knowledge and understanding of India and the issues confronting common Indians. By 1920, Gandhiji emerged as leader of Indian independence movement. In his autobiography, Gandhiji calls Gokhale his mentor and guide. Okay. Next question. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was called Mahatma by whom? Okay. So that that is Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. And in which context he said that? The honorific Mahatma, that is great soul, was given to him in 1915 by his friend Rabindranath Tagore. He never accepted the title. This is very important to remember. Gandhiji never accepted the title, okay, because he considered himself unworthy of it. There are several accounts to this story, but generally it is believed that poet Rabindranath Tagore called him Mahatma. Other story is that Nautamlal Bhagwanji Mehta or Nagar Seth of Jetpur was the first to use and bestow Mahatma for Gandhiji on January 21, 1915 at Kamri Vai School in Jetpur. Okay, but mostly it is accepted that it was Rabindranath Tagore, although the year is same, 1915. Okay. Gandhiji considered khadi as a symbol of, so interesting question. Okay. So you know that is moral purity, economic independence, economic growth, industrialization. Okay, it's basically self-reliance. If everyone starts wearing khadi and if khadi is spun, okay, by the households, then obviously it will lead to economic independence. Okay, you don't have to depend on others. And also, his concept of the village economy, it was one of the central themes of his village economy. The Khadi movement aimed at boycotting foreign goods and promoting Indian goods, thereby improving India's economy. Mahatma Gandhi had begun promoting the spinning of khadi for rural self-employment and self-reliance, instead of using cloth manufactured industrially in Britain. In 1920s, India thus made khadi an integral part, an icon of the Swadeshi movement. The freedom struggle revolved around the use of khadi fabric and dumping of foreign-made clothes. Okay, so that is basically your economic independence. Next, Gandhiji wanted to realize truth through ahimsa, dharma, karma or dhyana. So it's very easy and direct question, that would be ahimsa. Okay. To Gandhiji, truth occupied the first place and ahimsa the second. In the course of pursuit of truth, he discovered ahimsa. He wanted to realize truth through ahimsa. To him, truth and harmony of thoughts with words and of words with actions. Okay, so it was ahimsa or non-violence. In Gandhian socialism, state is required, state is not required, state is sometimes required and sometimes not required, or state is neither required nor not required. Okay, basically what it means is, you see, socialism is of various types. Gandhian socialism is there. What we have in our country that we call, okay, democratic socialism, okay, and various other forms of, even very extreme forms of socialism are also there, right? So in this is question about Gandhian socialism, right? So let us see what is the answer. So in Gandhian socialism, okay, it's basically state does not have a very big role. Okay, Gandhian socialism is the branch of socialism based on the theories of Gandhiji. The theories inspired from Hindu Swaraj or Indian Home Rule written by Gandhiji. Decentralization of political and economic power. So this is also a good point for essay. What are the pillars of the Gandhian socialism? Okay, decentralization of political and economical powers, okay, or economic powers. skeptic approach towards technology, and large scale industrialization. Okay, so technology and large scale industrialization, okay, little bit skeptical about it, okay, not very enthusiastic. Okay, so with caution. Emphasis on self employment, emphasis on self reliance are a few features of Gandhian socialism. Gandhi repudiated both state and the reformist socialism, because the first attempted to impose socialism from the top, that is the state, whilst the second tolerated and sometimes even condoned violence as an inescapable means to attain its end. Okay, that means revolution, this mass revolution and all, which also includes violence. Okay, because for Gandhiji the means justify the ends. Okay, there is a question later on, we'll see. Next, when was Mahatma Gandhi arrested during the Quit India movement of 1942? Very, very factual question. If you know the date, fine. If you don't know, just go through it. Okay. So, the Quit India movement or the August movement, that is August Kranti, was a civil disobedience movement launched in India in August 1942 in response to Mohandas Gandhi's call for immediate independence. The All India Congress Committee proclaimed a mass protest demanding what Gandhi called an orderly British withdrawal from India. The call for determined but passive resistance appears in his call to do or die, issued on 8th August at the Gwalior Tank Maidan in Bombay. The British were quick to act. Almost the entire Indian National Congress leadership, and not just at the national level, was imprisoned early next morning, that is on August 9th. Okay. Due to the arrest of major leaders, a young and till then relatively unknown Aruna Asaf Ali presided over AICC session on 9th August and hoisted the flag. Later the Congress party was banned. Next, Gandhiji believed that ends justify means, means justify ends. Neither end justify means nor means justify ends, or ends and means both should be justified. Okay. So, Gandhiji's philosophy was the means justify the end. Okay. The path you take to reach your goal, that is also very, very important. Niccolo Machiavelli's concept was end justifies the means. If you reach your goal, that is everything. How you reach it really does not matter. Okay, you have to crack civil services, you do it by any means. If you get a rank, finished, your goal is over. Okay, so but Gandhiji's concept was means justify the ends. Okay, so let us see that. Gandhi's view of morally legitimate means to be exclusively employed in furthering political ends was deeply affected by doctrine of dispassionate action in Gita. Okay, so if you have philosophy or something, you can go to that doctrine of dispassionate action. Okay, that means you have to do what is right, what the dharma tells you. Okay, dharma is not religion. Dharma basically means, okay, what is right. Okay, the right conduct, right? So, and there you don't have to see who is standing in front of you, maybe your relatives, maybe someone you love. Okay, but in the, that is the meaning of dispassionate action. You cannot be emotional. Okay, you have to disassociate or take out passion from your action. Okay, Gandhiji explicitly rejected the doctrine that ends justify the means. This was propounded by Niccolo Machiavelli. Okay, we call Chanakya the Indian Machiavelli. So basically he was a Italian thinker. Okay, Niccolo Machiavelli, and went so far as to assert that moral means is almost an end to in itself, because virtues it is own reward. Okay, virtue is its own reward. Gandhi firmly believed that the means always justify the end, so he chose only good means to drive away the British from India. He firmly believed that impure means result in impure end, that we cannot attain to any truth, though untruthful means that we cannot secure justice through unjust means, or freedom through tyrannical acts, or socialism through enmity and coercion, or enduring peace through war. Okay, so means justify the ends, that is what Mahatma Gandhi said. Next, do or die. Gandhiji gave this mantra to the nation on the eve of which mass movement? These are your options. Okay. So, the Quit India movement or the August movement, August Kranti, was a civil disobedience movement launched in India in August 1942 in response to Mohandas Gandhi's call for immediate independence. The All India Congress Committee proclaimed a mass protest demanding what Gandhi called an orderly British withdrawal from India. The call for determined but passive resistance appears in his call to do or die issued on 8th August at the Golia Tank Maidan. Okay, after which the entire leadership was arrested. In which of the city of South Africa was Gandhiji beaten up and thrown off the pavement by the white people? Okay, so remember that. That is in Durban. Okay. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was 24 when he arrived in South Africa in 1893 to work as a legal representative for Muslim Indian traders based in the city of Pretoria. Okay, but he was not attacked there. Okay, he was attacking Durban. In January 1897, when Gandhi landed in Durban, a mob of white sellers attacked him and he escaped only through the efforts of the wife of the police superintendent. However, he refused to press charges against any member of the mob, stating it was one of his principles not to seek redress for a personal wrong in a court of law. So, he was basically, he had gone there to fight for the Indians, the Muslim Indian traders and the generally oppressed people at large. When Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, who said, "None will believe that a man like this in body and soul ever walked on this earth." Okay, that is famous quote for essay, etc. Also you can write it. Okay, it was Einstein, right? In 1931, Albert Einstein wrote a short letter of admiration to another of world's greatest mind, Mohandas Gandhi. Despite their intentions, the pair never met in person, so they could never meet each other. After Gandhi's death, Einstein said generations to come will find it difficult to believe that a man such as Gandhi ever walked the face of this earth. Next question. In violation of salt laws, Gandhiji started a movement called, it's a direct question. Okay. So, the salt march, also known as the Salt Satyagraha, began with the Dandi March on March 12, 1930. The Salt Satyagraha was the next significant non-violent protest against British after the non-cooperation movement of 1920-22 and the India's first war of independence of 1857. It was a direct action campaign of tax resistance and non-violent protest against the British salt monopoly in colonial India and triggered wider civil disobedience movement. Okay. This was the most significant organized challenge to British authorities since the non-cooperation movement of 1920-22 and directly followed the Purna Swaraj declaration of independence by the Indian National Congress on January 26, 1930. Which directive principle bears the direct impact of Gandhi's moral philosophy? Okay, so you can just go through this. That is the prohibition of slaughtering of cows and other milch cattle. Two directive principles of state policy which are based on Gandhian ideals are promotion of cottage industries on an individual and cooperative basis in rural areas and prevention of slaughter of cows and calves and other milch cattle.